topic of discussion this week, man, we talking about the producers, and what better way to set things off by having a good friend of mine, a great friend of yours, you know what I'm saying, if you really love this hip-hop stuff, the one and only, the best producer on the mic, in my opinion. Studio, give it up one time for Diamond D, y'all. All right. All right. No doubt, man. Thank you for coming, man.
Yeah, no doubt. Thanks for having me, man.
How you been?
Good, man. Yourself?
You know what? I can't complain. Dude, I don't think you understand how tough it's been for us to try to get you to come to this program.
I'm here.
But you're here, man, and we really do appreciate it, man.
No doubt.
So I want to start. I know you. You know me. Some of them out there might know you, but we're going to go ahead and try and take things from the beginning. Where are you from?
From the Bronx.
All right. What part in particular?
New York City, the Bronx.
All right. Got a couple woos in the audience. So did you start out as a producer, or did you start out as an MC?
I actually started out as a DJ.
As a DJ,
yeah,
okay.
I was in a group called the Ultimate Force. And we had got signed to Strong City Records. Okay. This is like 89. And that's where Masters of Ceremonies were. That was Grand Poobah's first group. I know you remember that. Yeah. But anyway, we caught a piece of that wave, and I started up as a DJ. Okay.
Where did your love of it start? I know you started out as a DJ, but how did you get your love for hip hop?
Just being a kid at the jams in the neighborhood. You know, I would stand by the ropes and watch the DJ. Like the break beats, that's what really intrigued me. You know what I mean? So that's more or less what pulled me in. Okay. I would stand by the ropes for hours just trying to get a glimpse of like the records or whatever. Right. You know what I mean, Drez? And that was my first real love for hip hop.
So your DJ, like everybody has a gateway in a sense. Right. A person or a song or a break or what have you. What was the DJ that you looked up to as a shorty?
Not to sound cliche-ish, but you know, as a kid, Grandmaster Flash, Theodore, DJ Charlie Chase, DJ Jazzy J. But in my immediate projects, there were two brothers named DJ Supreme and Hutch. Okay. And they more or less took me under their wing. They would let me get on their DJ set. I didn't really have no equipment back then. Right. You know what I mean? But I would say those are my first influences as a DJ.
I got you.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, you mentioned that the breaks is what intrigued you.
Right.
What was the first break for you?
I don't know. I would probably say Apache, only because it was just one of the earliest ones. You know what I mean? Let's Dance to the Drummer's Beat. Right. You know, joints like that. But Apache, that would probably be like the main one. Okay. You know, that would come on, everybody just start going crazy.
Nice. Was it because of the breaks that got you into wanting to get into production?
Yeah, definitely, because I had a wide knowledge of breaks. You know what I mean? And when I got into production, everything was like real James Brown heavy. Right. And when the De La Soul album came out, when the Jungle Brothers album came out, when the Tribe Called Quest album came out, that showed me that, you know, you didn't really have to touch James Brown. You can just touch anything. Anything, right. You know what I mean? You can sample from all kind of genres of music. And those three groups, all three of their first albums really like kind of helped mold my production style. I can somewhat. Okay. You know what I mean?
Nice. Your first piece of equipment.
Say it again?
Your first piece of equipment.
Wow.
Well, your first sampler. Let's go there. Let's go get specific.
Probably, you know, mismatched turntables. You know what I mean? I had a Gemini mixer. You know, just a little setup in my room. Right. And then fast forward to like 1990 when Lord Finesse got his first deal with Wild Pitch. I produced half that album along with Premier. And my partner Showbiz, I think he produced like one or two on that project. But at that point, I was able to step up to some 1200s. Right. You know what I mean? That was a real big deal to me, and you know it still is to any DJ.
Right.
You know, everybody remembers when they got their first pair of 12s.
True that.
You know what I mean? So that would be like my first real setup.
I can dig it. So when you started producing, I know you mentioned Showbiz, you mentioned Finesse, all part of the Diggin in the Crates crew, D.I.T.C forever. How did that collective come to be? You guys meet up in high school? You guys just homies around the neighborhood? Or?
We all grew up in the same projects.
Mm-hmm.
You know, me, myself, Lord Finesse, Fat Joe, Showbiz lived across the street.
Mm-hmm.
AG lived maybe like 4 or 5 miles away in Patterson Project. So we were just all in the same vicinity.
That's crazy.
Right there in the South Bronx. You know, we were friends first.
Right.
Then the music thing just kind of happened.
Okay.
We were all soloists, actually. And then once Lord Finesse got his deal, directly after that, then we all came together and we formed Diggin in the Crates.
Nice.
Right.
Dude, well, I can't say.
Shout out to my man Buck Wild, too.
Yeah.
All right, and OG.
So.
Big L.
Of course.
Right.
So, your first project, not album, but first production credit came with
Lord Finesse. Right.
Okay. So that's when that wasn't. But that
well,
wasn't.
You know what?
When,
Pardon me. Right before Lord Finesse, there was an artist named Raheem. He had got signed to Strong City Records. And I actually did a 12-inch for him. It's called I'm the King. It's kind of hard to find right now, but that I'm gonna say that was my very first production.
Okay.
On a major label.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And then after that, the Lord Finesse thing fell into place.
So do you believe that with your credits, how did the Mercury deal happen?
Okay. The first Stunt Bunch in Hip Hop, I was signed to a label called PWL Chemistry, and they had a distribution deal with Mercury. So that's how the whole Mercury thing came to be.
Right.
And by the time I got to my second album, I was signed directly to Mercury.
Okay.
But basically, that was my introduction. Mercury was distributing my first album.
What was the situation like, man? Was it a good situation for you? Was it
learning
okay?
Experience. You know, everybody's first deal. When you get your first deal, you don't really have no leverage because you haven't proven yourself.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But I was able to retain my publishing.
Good for you.
And of course.
Good for you.
Know what I mean? So a lot of artists at that time relinquished their publishing just to get on. So I was able to hold on to my publishing. Black Sheep was over at Mercury at that time. They were doing their thing. Blase. You know what I mean? And on the R&B tip, Brian McKnight was over there, Vanessa Williams. So I was all like in that early to mid '90s mix.
Right. So how was going out on the road with that first album with Stunt Bunch in Hip Hop?
Well, actually, to help promote the album, Mercury Records had they shipped us on this college promotional tour. You know what I mean? And we hit all the colleges. We hit the black colleges. We hit the white colleges. It was all along the East Coast. And we wound up. We started from New York. We worked our way all the way down. Came to Atlanta. And the last stop, I believe, was in Texas.
Okay.
I'm gonna take it back for everybody in Atlanta. When we came through on that first college tour, 92, 93, we performed at the Phoenix.
Okay.
Wow.
Right?
Okay. It wasn't even the warehouse yet.
Right.
Right, on Marietta.
Okay.
All right. So,
crazy times, huh?
You remember? Was you here back then?
I was.
All right,
I was.
What's up? Yeah. It's crazy.
So, so Stunt Bunch in Hip Hop comes. It makes a nice run. Sally Had a One Track Mind, Best Kept Secret, Fuck What You Heard.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Great 3 single run off of that album. I know. I personally had the album. I had to buy the album 5 times. Yeah, Jack 4 times. What up, Pitch Black? Anyway, but your second album.
Right.
How was the climate coming around in your second album?
How was the climate? I mean,
for you.
For me?
Yeah.
I mean, I was doing so much production at the time. You know what I mean? So creatively, I was in a good space.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Second album, some say it's a little darker than the first, and it might be. You know what I mean?
That was kind of a reflection
just a
of the
growth,
time
a
now.
growth period.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, I was in a good space for that.
Nice.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
So, aside from a lot of your production, as an MC, we also know that you did some work for a group out of Jersey called the Fugees.
Right.
I remember in one interview you said it wasn't your favorite song, but it's the one that got you paid the most.
Well, what I said was, that's my favorite song on that album.
Okay.
No, what I said was, I was proud to be a part of that project, but my song is not what drove it to 20 million sales.
Okay.
That was, Killing Me Softly, Ready or Not.
Right.
The big hits. But a lot of people say the track I did kind of brought balance to the album.
Okay.
Because that was the quote unquote real hip hop track.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, it was definitely a learning experience, and I'm proud to be affiliated with that album.
Yeah. Title track.
Yeah.
Title track.
That's right.
No doubt.
Shouts out to my man Salam Remy.
Yes, sir.
He also worked on that project.
So, so your Mercury deal is done, or with your distro, that situation is done. It's put to bed. It's done what it's supposed to do. I want to talk to you about what I like to call the new Diamond D Renaissance, being an independent artist.
Right.
But we're going to go ahead and get into one of your videos before we get into it.
No doubt.
This is Diamond D featuring D.I.T.C with Fuck What You Heard right here on Hip Hop 40. Check it out.
Yeah.
Welcome back to Hip Hop 40, y'all. That was Fuck What You Heard by Diamond D featuring D.I.T.C right here. And we're still here, sitting here, talking to the man, one and only Diamond D, is still in the studio. No doubt. Thank you for sticking around, good brother. So, once again, Fuck What You Heard was a great song.
Right.
I personally love the way that you used Brand Nubian into your production, and then had the foresight to have Sadat come in on the joint as well.
Right.
So we left off earlier with you wrapping up the Mercury situation.
Right.
And we're getting into what I like to call, once again, the new Diamond D Renaissance, being an independent artist.
Right.
How has that been for you? How was this setup of being an independent artist, of running indie?
Well, I think, obviously, if you have a fan base already, it's a lot easier.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You have to spend more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I mean, if you're an independent artist and you're not willing to spend money on yourself, then you might as well just get out of the game.
I agree.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Of course, the rewards are more. You instead of you getting paid, a nickel an album, you now receive the bulk share. Mm-hmm. And you just pay a distributor 15, 10%, 20%, whatever your situation calls for. Mm-hmm. But the independent game, it's been good to me because, like I said, I already had a catalog.
Right.
And it's much easier to do if you have a fan base, obviously.
I can dig it. So when you decided to jump back in on the indie side of things, did you just do it just for you, or did you set up a label, or?
Yes, I set up a label, Diamond Mine Records.
Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about that.
I signed Big Rec. I did a project with him. Mm-hmm. Got an artist named Blake Moses. A new artist from Snooze, young dude named Snooze. He's nice, from Harlem. Mm-hmm. But that's the route I went, you know. And of course, we still do the digging in the crates thing, you know. So it all ties in. But definitely, you know, if you're independent, you know, it's a blessing actually. You know what I mean? Because a record label, if you're on a major label, it's just more or less. It's like going to the bank and getting a loan.
Okay.
You know, they'll give you the advance. You know, they maybe even front you the money for a promo tour, but like any other loan, you're gonna pay that back, but the interest is just gonna be crazy.
Ah, okay.
You know, they might advance you, you know, $1 million, and you have to recoup out of that. But if you're only getting, I don't know, if an album costs $12.99 and you're only getting $3 or $2 an album, that advance they gave you is going to come out of year 2. It's not going to come out of the other $10. It's going to come out of year 2.
Wow.
And then once that's paid back, then you may see some money.
Right.
So that's, you know, that's the give and take right there with that.
And that's mostly dependent on shelf life.
Crazy.
That's wow. Damn. So when you hear stories of classic albums going gold or going platinum after like a long extended period of time, is that usually what that's sort of attributed to?
In my case, I would say yes. Because when my album came out, it blew up, but it wasn't, you know, it didn't go platinum.
Right. And happy belated anniversary to your first baby.
Say it again?
I said happy belated anniversary to Stunts.
Yeah, that's right.
As well. No
Appreciate
doubt.
that.
Yeah.
But when it came out, I was a new artist again, and Mercury didn't really put the full push on me. You know what I mean? Black Sheep got the bulk of the push, but they were signed directly to Mercury,
right.
So I don't fault Mercury.
Right.
I wasn't a Mercury artist. I was just distributed by them.
Right.
But you know, definitely over the years, you know, if you make a classic album, it will go gold or eventually platinum. You gotta remember, Cypress Hill's first album was out maybe almost a year before it picked up with How Can I Just Kill a Man? You know what I mean? So, you know, sometimes shit happens like that.
Yeah, I know. We hear here at Hip Hop 40, we hear cases of that all the time. Like, you know, like One for All by Brand New going gold after like 12 years of being out. You know, like we finally went gold. It's 2008. The album came out in '96. You know what I'm saying? We hear these things all the time.
Right.
But being an independent artist, you say that it's definitely the risk is definitely worth the reward.
Most definitely. Most definitely.
So when it comes to outside of, you know, running your label and taking care of your artists and putting out your own product, I understand you're also back out on the road DJing as well.
Right.
Most recently, I know you went and just completed a tour, I want to say almost a year ago with One Only Large Professor.
Right, yeah. We went to Europe. We had about maybe like 15 dates.
How was that?
That was cool. You know what I'm saying? We was rhyming too, but mainly it was a DJ tour.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And,
so both of y'all didn't do your own respective sets?
Yeah, we did.
Sets
Some dates we did.
Okay.
But it was billed as a DJ set, and more or less we rhymed if we felt like it. But we weren't obligated to.
I got you.
Know what I mean? It just depended on the vibe of that night, the crowd and the energy.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But that was pretty dope. You know, everybody's on this 45 thing now.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
And you are very heavy on it.
Very heavy on it.
No doubt. So
I got into it early.
Yeah, I know that much for certain.
Right.
What was the draw of going back to 45s as opposed to just taking on just 12 inches? Or
it's just my first love. You know what I mean? A lot of people saw me DJing. They was like, yo, you know, I didn't even know you used to DJ. But the people who knew me growing up and the people who knew about the Ultimate Force, they was like, oh yeah, nah, D started off as a DJ. You know what I mean? And back in those days, a lot of break beats were on 45 only. So that's how I accumulated all of those records.
Okay.
I was going. There was a store in New York City called Downstairs Records.
Okay.
It was on 42nd and 6th Avenue, right down at the train station. But back then, you would go in there and they would have like just all these 45s on the wall.
Yeah.
All breaks.
All breaks.
You know, and this is like early 80s, and you know, it might be like $20 a 45.
Mm-hmm.
And people was going in there. I mean, you know, Flash, you know, they would close the door for Flash. You know, everybody went there. You know, if you was somebody who was deep into the culture, the breakbeat aspect of it,
right,
that's where you went. So,
okay.
I just been digging all that time.
Right.
You know what I mean? But what helped me with the resurgence of the 45s was I went to a show and I saw Cut Chemist and DJ Shadow at the Loft.
Okay.
I think this is on their tour, the Product Placement.
Yeah.
This might have been 2009. And I was watching it, and it just felt like I was like back in my room, you know, as a kid, you know, just cutting up the 45s.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's what really sparked it for me. And later on that year, when I did that first A3C set, and that's kind of what set it off.
Nice.
You were there that night.
Yep, I was.
Evil D.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was nice that night.
Yeah, it felt like a class reunion that night.
Yeah,
you know
definitely.
What I'm saying?
Definitely.
So how big is your collection these days?
My vinyl collection?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's substantial. Substantial. You know, I ain't gonna throw out no numbers, but you know, anybody been following me, you know, I get busy on the vinyl. I still dig a little bit.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It's not as necessary now because you can go online and find a lot of music. But yeah, I got a nice little collection.
I can take it. Most prized break.
Oh man, I don't, if I had to throw one out there, I would say Chuck Carbo. Can I be your squeeze?
Okay.
You know, yeah, you know, and that's one of them joints where like they wasn't even playing it back in the days. A lot of breaks that we found out later on, the 90s, 2000s, they wasn't even playing back then.
Right.
And that's one of those joints where, you know, I never heard Bambaataa or Flash or Theodore or Charlie Chase play it. But that would be like one of my most most prized joints right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, here's one for you.
All right.
Most expensive break you had to purchase.
It ain't really a break, but it's a psychedelic album made by one of James Brown's groups. Well, rather, he had a arranger, this white dude named Dave Matthews. And he worked on a lot of James Brown joints in the late '60s and early '70s. And he put out an album called, I think, the Whipper-Jenny something. Whipper-Jenny something. I know all the beat heads, they're like, oh, whatever, but that would be, I spend nice penny for that.
Okay.
But it's worth it.
I got you.
You know what I mean? I can sell it now actually for more than I paid for it.
How about it?
You know what I mean?
So are you one of them cats like that when you catch a break, you literally buy every copy?
Nah.
Okay.
No, if it's on a 45, I'll buy 3.
Okay.
I have 2 to cut and 1 I just put up.
That's what's up.
You know what I mean?
Like you're conservative with it.
Right.
You don't rape the record store.
People see me cutting records and they're like, yo, you know, you're destroying your records. I'm like, nah, I'm not destroying them. You know, I got a 3rd copy.
Right.
You know, these 2 are just specifically for that. You know, plus if you're nice on a 45, you're not destroying them anyway.
Right. How about that?
You know, unless you're trying to cut styrene records.
Okay.
Yeah.
So getting back to the music, you put out an album called The D.I.T.C.
Right.
And you got a joint on there. You actually, aside from having some great lyricists, you also got some great friends on there.
That's right.
One of them is one of your contemporaries, Pete Rock.
My man, PR, no doubt.
How was that session?
Oh man, crazy. He came down to the crib. You know, just vibed out. He wrote it right there on the spot.
On the spot.
I still got his verse, so I still got the paper he wrote it out. But he wrote it out. He went in the booth. About 2 takes, he was done.
Wow.
You know, yeah, real quick, real professional.
No doubt.
Shouts out to Pete Rock.
For sure. I know he's watching. You know what I'm saying?
PR.
So, in closing, if there's a piece of advice that you could give to up and coming artists, or even established artists that are out here, what would it be?
Well, obviously, you want to retain your publishing in any situation. Because publishing lasts forever.
Right.
You know, just to give you an example, Nike just picked up FloJo for a commercial. And you know, I retained my 50%. Fat Joe retained his 50%, and it cut us a nice check. You know what I mean? Just like maybe like 3 weeks ago.
Nice.
And that came out with like a 93.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you know, it was 25 years ago. You know what I mean? So publishing is very important. If you get into a position where you have the financial wherewithal to purchase your masters, that I would advise that for any artist, you know, new or artists that have been out for a while. I'm in the process now of trying to purchase the masters of my first album.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So that would be the biggest advice: retain your publishing, and if you can, try to get your masters back.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So
nice.
Just control your legacy.
I hope y'all are hearing what the man just said. Tell us about the album, man. That album.
Yeah, the D.I.T.C Volume 2.
Volume 2.
Yeah.
So nice, got to do it twice.
Real excited about that. I got a joint with me, Eric Sermon and Havoc.
Okay.
Crazy. I got my man David Banner on there, Styles P, Exhibit, Twister, Elzai, Westside Gun. You know, I'm not going to divulge too much, but you know, it's going to be really dope album. You know what I mean? If anybody got into the first Don piece, you know, I know the second one, you're going to definitely love it. I'm trying to at least outdo it. And even that in itself is it's kind of hard to do, but I'm real happy with it.
How long did it take you to make this album?
Maybe like 2 years off and on.
Okay.
About 2 years.
Okay. Yeah. So it wasn't a straight like.
No, it was, but you know, in between that, I'm doing other stuff too.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I produced a Sadat X album, The Sum of a Man. So that kind of detoured me a little bit.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But you know, we back on track.
All right.
Last week I just vocaled the Snoop joint.
Okay.
Got a joint with Snoop. So yeah, the album's coming along crazy, D.
Nice. Are you going out on the road to support Don Piece too?
Basically, you know, when you do a production album, you got all the artists rhyming over your music. It's kind of hard to do that. To take, you know, a bunch of artists on the road. Right. And I'm only spitting on maybe like 3 or 4 joints. 2 solo joints. So I'm gonna definitely go on the road and do that. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna promote it at both. You know, when I go out, I'm gonna promote it at that point. But you know, if I get some sponsors to come aboard, then I would definitely put a package together. I got you. And try to take out at least 3 or 4 artists from that project, and then we go on a tour.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So no doubt. So is the album available?
No, not yet. Not yet.
So when can we expect it?
I'm working on it. Maybe like another 2 months it should be finished.
Okay, so it's like first quarter 2019.
That's what I'm looking at. Okay. Right around there.
No doubt.
So it takes about 2 months to press your vinyl up. True. I'm gonna do a limited vinyl press. You know what I mean? Just for the few DJs who still want to touch that vinyl. Right. Or just buy it as a collector's edition.
I got you. No doubt.
CDs, I'm debating. Nobody really buys CDs no more.
Right.
You know what I mean? So if it ain't cost effective, why do it?
I got you. Well, dude, I can't front, man. On behalf of all of us that love the music, that love the culture, man, I want to say thank you so very much for your contribution.
Thanks for having me, man.
No doubt. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, Diamond D, y'all. Give it up for him, Sudan. Right. Give it up for him. This, no doubt. Yeah. This is Hip Hop 40. We're gonna be back. We're coming back in a couple minutes, man, with our final thought and our dedication. Y'all stay tuned. Peace.
All right.